Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, madam. My name is Mama Afiq bin Abdul Halim, and I'll be presenting my proposal graphic design project 1. So, the title of my project is an interactive model guideline on advertising of medicines and medicinal products to the general public. Next. Here are the table of contents. We have introduction, literature review, and the end is ideas of the project. So, chapter 1. So, background of the project. There are many medicinal advertisements that are not registered under Ministry of Health, so that is our main issue right here. Of course, yes, we want to talk about um, the guidelines which are about medicine and medicinal products advertisement, which are under the regulations of Ministry of Health, which is the MOH. But here we want to I want to focus on the part on which I want to focus on the part where there are legal and there are illegal advertisements. What is considered as illegal advertisement? Those are advertisements which are not registered under MOH or the Malaysian advertisement board. So now, with the rise of social media, these advertisements began to rise even more in popularity, and its online presence is even more than that of in real life. So usually, when we talk about illegal advertisement, uh, we saw this illegal advertisement on light poles, traffic light poles, in public spaces areas, for example, like bus stops and whatnot. But since social media use are now very popular, they are moving their operation towards these social media sites. The purpose of this research project is to design an interactive module that can help to teach the general public the MOH rules and regulations so they can be aware of these illegal ads. This will prevent damages both in health and from being scammed by these ads. Now, of course, back to the purpose of this project is to design an interactive module to teach the general public about what is considered legal and what is considered illegal, and how you can differentiate them. And besides that, also we want to teach them the rules and regulations uh, of advertising medicinal products, which are set by MOH itself. This project also focuses on innovating how our education system can integrate the new first century technology into our learning kit. This could help learning be a more involving and more interesting experience and can hopefully produce good result. And lastly, of course, when we talk about interactive module, of course, we are not using traditional way of learning. We are using an interactive module, and the idea is to incorporate 21st century technology into our uh, uh, into our learning kit in ways, for example, when we it, when we integrate technology into our learning environment, the opportunities and possibilities of us teaching people, and the way we uh, help them experience the way they are learning can be, of course, widened than usual. Okay, so next, problem identification. So problem one is that scams are widely spread in real life public location and even online platforms such as social media and shopping websites. We have discussed this before. Current ways of learning, rules and regulation does not adapt to current technology, leaving many people not knowing what our country's rules are. Now this I want to touch on upon a little bit and expand a little bit on, because uh, it's not that these rules and regulations are far out of reach from the public. Is that reaching it can be a hassle for us. For example, when we talk about rules and regulations, some people don't even know that these rules and regulations exist out there. So uh, I'd say current way of us accessing and learning these rules and regulation is not very friendly for normal people or the general public. I think when it comes to rules and regulations such as like this, everyone should know it, of course, because it concerns their safety and well-being. People are not aware of the danger and distinction of illegal medicinal advertisements that are not registered by the government. Now, like I said before, this involve their well-being and safety. So when they don't know these illegal medicinal advertisements, they are susceptible to danger. For it doesn't matter if it's about their health or the way how they spend their money. If anything, wasting money should be the least of your problem. The worst part would be dangerous side effects that will come with it. Whichever the case, these illegal medicinal advertisements are very dangerous, and uh, they need to be raise awareness to the public. Objective of the project: to gain awareness amongst the public the danger of illegal medicinal advertisements and the damage it could cause to your health and well-being, to help them identify what is legal and what is illegal so that they can stay safe when they come across an ad. Like, this is the example of our objective that I've set before. To create an interactive module to help educate the public about MOH rules and regulations when it comes to advertising medicine and medicinal product. So hopefully with the help of interactive module, we can help teach people on how MOH regulates their rules and what we should look out for when we saw any advertisement that we see out there, in order for us to be safe from it. Last one is to incorporate the effectiveness of using interactive module into our education system by using its advantage to teach the public about medicine and medicinal advertisement according to the MOH. So, the effectiveness of interactive module, I will touch upon it later on in the slides, where we will look at two studies made by one University of Thomas Jefferson, and another one is a research about performance in between traditional way of learning and using interactive module. So and from what I found, we've seen evidence of increase in effectiveness when teaching people. So that is why I put it as one of the objective of the project, to incorporate the effectiveness of using interactive module into our education system. Next scope of the project. So demographic. Since we are using new 21st century technology, my target audience of this project will be students, teenagers, and young adults ages from 13 to 25, aiming to demographic audience that are still in school and university level. Now, why do I choose them? So the psychography is that people who have an active online presence, whether if it's on social media or just casual browsing. And from what I've seen is that 13 to 25 is around that age where people they spend most of their time on social media. So not only is it that being on social media means they are more susceptible or more exposed to scams, illegal advertisements, and whatnot. But since they spend most of their time online and using these technologies, they are more versed when it comes to people who are, let's say, born before 1995. So having this demographic can be a starting point for us, in which we could experiment and we could see how they adapt to this new way of learning. And last one, like I said before, people who are versed in using nowadays technology to learn new things and communicate with each other. Significance of the project. So the significance of the project is to increase awareness of the danger and harm that illegal medicine advertisement can cause, helping people to be able to identify this illegal advertisement by being versed in our country's rules and regulations, enhancing learning experience through 21st century technology to make complex info digestible and easy to be accessed by everyone. So let's touch upon a little bit on our last point: enhancing learning experience through 21st century technology to make complex info digestible and easy to be accessed by everyone. So as I've said just now, the rules of and regulations of Ministry of our Ministry of Health, it's not that it's not available for us. It is available for us, but for normal people to read it and to access it is very difficult, and very it can be very confusing for normal people who don't understand what they are studying or what they are reading. So the point is to make the whole learning process of that rules and regulation easy, digestible, and make it easy for them to access them. And how I want to make it easy for them to access, I will touch upon that later on. So assumptions and limitations. Implement Implementation of such new way of learning may be difficult, as integrating in a new system needs to go through a level of testing for it to be acceptable. So, as of anything that is new, it would take time for them to uh, accept that thing into their new system, especially because we don't know how effective it is. Although we have evidence, maybe our own students are not uh, easily adaptable to it. We don't know that thing, but so this sort of things requires a level of testing. So that is one of uh, the challenges that we need to uh, come across. Next one is people need to be accustomed to the new way of learning, as they may face difficulties in the early stages. This process may take some time to adjust to. So, like I said before, if let's say it has been authorized by certain organizations and say yes, we want to include this into our learning system, new people might have problems in terms of using the interactive module for the first time, as they might not know how to navigate it. But this is short-term limitations. Of course, as generations go by or as time goes by, um, this sort of way of learning will be more acceptable to people. Last one is integration of the rules and regulations into the interactive module should not be too minimal as to not leave any vital info at the same time. It should not be too detailed as to not make it difficult to understand. Uh, this is what I've said before. In terms of the laws and rules and regulation, it's not that it's hard to get it or it's hard to read it. It's easy, but for normal people, it can be quite daunting, as the information there is a lot and it can be quite confusing for them. So the general rule is to create a bite-sized rules and regulations which are only necessary for normal people. For example, like in the PDF file, you can see there are rules that needs to be taken account for advertisers, marketers, producers. But we are just the public who are consumers. We need to know what's important for us consumers. So the informations need to be handpicked carefully, and it needs to be integrated into the interactive module in a way that it is not too convoluted and it's not too easy. Not too simple, because making it too simple, we might left out some information. But if you make it too hard, then it defeats the purpose of the interactive module as a whole. That is done for chapter 1. Now we will go to chapter 2. Review of current situation. So the state of medicine and medicinal advertisement. In the era of the internet, the ways of getting treatment for any disorder or disease have been revolutionized among the public. As we all know right now, since everything is at the edge, at the end of our fingertips, we can always just Google what we need and what we need to know. So now the main law governing drug advertising in Malaysia is the 1956 Drug Advertising and Sales Act 1956. This is a law that prohibits certain medical advertisements and regulates the sale of substances recommended as pharmaceuticals. Despite enforcing regulations, some drug is still being advertised outside the regulation or is not registered and falsely claims to be tempting the public to buy the product. So this is the rules and regulations that are set to govern the medicinal advertisement, which is also under Ministry of Health. So here we can see that 796 out of 852 prescription medicine samples were not registered with the Drug Control Authority, Malaysia's Health Ministry. So this is a huge problem, because some of these drugs, prescription medicines that are not registered, some of it might not be harmful, and it will just end up wasting your money, while others might be very harmful for you. We don't know that. And that is 93%, which is a lot. So, review of related literature. What is advertising and how does it regulate medicinal advertisement? So the main law governing drug advertising in Malaysia is the 1956 drugs that we said before. It is regulated by the Ministry of Health. is regulated by the Ministry of Health and MAB, which is Ministry of Advertisement Board, or Malaysian Advertisements Board. So the word so what is advertising in the eyes of the 1956 Act? So the word advertisement is inclusive of all forms of communications methods that is sent to promote a particular product or service. So that is all for advertising. What kind of trick do illegal advertisement use to lure people? So a common tendency to this advertisement is to encourage people to buy products using bogus claims and top-notch words. For example, like effective, side effect free, number one miracle, can cure certain diseases which we know are very hard to cure without proper treatment. So all these claims are used to attract people to buy their products. What are the example types of medicine sold in these illegal ads? So here we can see the most highly bought products which are not registered are hormonal products. 62% is sex hormones, which are anabolic steroids, and the rest are my bad. 62% are sex hormones, and anabolic steroids were found to be the most frequent, which by 58%. So hormones are the best prescription drugs offered on the Malaysian online market. The antibiotic, which is very high indeed. So the antibiotic, clomiphene, fertility drug, prostaglandin, and its artificial derivatives, replaced by sibutramine, which is a slimming drug, and they all respectively accumulates to 4.8%, 2.2%, 1.8%, and 0.4%. So we can see that most of these drugs are drugs mainly to improve lifestyle. For example, like we can see here, fertility drugs, slimming drug, sex hormones drugs, which most of the time they don't serve their purpose and are mostly just scams anyways. Next, what statistics does scam occurs online? So report an online purchase scam. Maximum number of complaints reported in 2017 in an amount of 10,160. This meant an increase of 3,000 complaints compared to the previous year, which is in 2016. So usually these complaints are related to online shopping through social media platforms. It's not just Malaysia. The Australian Competition and Consumer Commission as well. 19.9% of online shopping scams that was reported in August 2019 was carried out via social media. Those are just some statistics of scams that I can show. Next is what is an interactive module? So interactive module is an instructional design which is a system of developing well-structured instructional materials using objectives related teaching strategy, systematic feedback, and evaluation as a science that creates detailed specifications for the design, development, evaluation, and maintenance of materials that facilitate learning and performance. So it is how we would use new ways of learning, for example, like incorporating games, showing them visual teaching them using visual learning. It helps develop and improve on how we learn something. So effectiveness of interactive modules. So these are the two research that I said before that shows the increase in performance and the effectiveness of interactive module. So the Thomas Jefferson University, where pathology, obstetrics, and gynecology collaborated to create a pilot series of case-based asynchronous interactive modules for teaching gynecological pathology. So short story, a 5.7 increase in mean score was a result in this whole research paper, so which is good. And the feedback from the learners was positive, and suggestions were made to apply this method to other specialists, especially the radiology department. So this is furthermore a good example because I handpicked this example because it relates to the medical field, or for example like this one, it is more towards chemistry and biology, which yes, can also relates to medical field as well. And since my project is around medicinal advertisement, I think if it can be applied to something as complicated as this, why not for just teaching rules and regulations. So another one is a research was made to develop and test an interactive multimedia module prototype to designed to accommodate adults with limited literacy and without computer skills. Experimental treatment included the use of an interactive multimedia module, and the control group received regular instructions. 6,515% lesson duration is increased by 16,775%, and positive self-care behavior patterns consistent with sleep-related activities benefit significantly. In summary, this program is educational, suitable for a wide range of geographical diverse audience, and suitable for use in working environments. And this one as well proves my other reason why prove another reason why we should incorporate interactive module into our learning system. For example, if we are approaching someone who has no idea of how to use computers, or don't even have the experience of using 21st century technology efficiently, here we can see they have tested it on people who who is said before with limited literacy and without computer skills. So I think if they can do it, why can't we? Especially because our rules and regulations is very important, and it's more towards our safety and well-being. So furthermore, the reason why we should incorporate this into our learning system. So here's are some review of related projects. One is Adobe Captivate, one is Teachable, one is Smart Builder, and one is Lectora. So they are all tools that people usually use when creating an interactive module for people to use to create their teaching material. So chapter 3, ideas of the project. So my ideas is to include a mini game to help users to differentiate illegal and legal medicinal advertisement. Now this of course comes after they have been introduced and taught what are the rules and regulations, what is legal and illegal and whatnot. And then a short video teaching what to look out for in a government authorized advertisements. So usually in authorized government authorized government advertisements, they will have labels and, for example, like QR codes and codes in which they can find and search up. But of course nowadays everything we are using QR. So if you are moving to that type of world, I want to teach people on how they could scan that, give awareness on how they could find and be aware of, oh, this is legal advertisement which is registered. And finally, QR code that allows users to access the interactive module through an app or a website. Now since we are using an technology that we can find now, my idea is to use two medium. One is using a PC, and another one is using our mobile phones. Now why do I want a PC and a mobile phone, and why not just one instead of these two together? So with a mobile phone, it is easier for you to, like I said before, scan QR codes. So if you are going towards a world where everything is scannable, I want us to be able to use QR code to scan to see, oh, this is when is it been registered, and all those stuff, what makes it legal and illegal. And not only that, using QR code makes it easy to access the interactive module no matter anywhere you go. Now this can be done through a government application or a government website, doesn't matter. Now with PC, of course, it's more upfront approach, in which maybe we take a couple of students and bring them in a laboratory full of computers, which they can go through the interactive module itself. Whichever way works, I think this idea needs to be developed more in and to see how which which one is more applicable, whether it is mobile phones or PC. So that is all for my presentation. Once again, thank you, madam. That is all from me.